Welcome back, everyone. This is the second segment tonight with Evan Witalison and myself on the Light Sports Ramble. This is our segment called Twitter Talk. Two topics tonight. It's the Bears-Packers, Vikings-Packers rivalry. Where's the more hatred between which two of the teams? And then we're going to touch on, and this was from our loyal listeners on Twitter, throwing the topic out today about paying college athletes. Now, that topic, Evan, we'll get into it after, but you and I discussed it. We could probably talk from now, which is 8:14 Eastern Time, till about 8:14 a.m. tomorrow Eastern Time, and never come to a conclusion whether it's right or wrong. So,
I believe that entirely.
Yeah, but we'll give our listeners at least a little bit of where we're coming from, a couple of ideas, and I'll share with the listeners. You and I have talked about doing more than one episode. I look forward to it because I love chatting with you. I mean, you're very knowledgeable, and you and I get along so great that, if you and I could do this every day, I would do it every day. But let's get right into it. You and I talked a little bit before the episode. Bears-Packers, Vikings-Packers, where's more hatred?
Well, this is, a topic that, I had thought up, because as we see from week to week, the questions vary if we get any or not for Twitter Talk. So this is one that, I pulled up as a just in case we don't get enough, really any questions. And it's, because, Packers are playing the Vikings last week, and then this week they're playing the Bears. And it just, thinking, where's the more hatred, between the rivalries? Is the Packer-Bears still, the historical one, or is, the fan base kind of shifted as a more Packer-Vikings? In my personal opinion, this is me personally, I have a very strong dislike and hatred of the Vikings, and there's a lot of reasons for that. The fan base of the Vikings, and the Vikings act like, they've, done stuff, in the NFL, and it's like, what have you done? You've lost 4 Super Bowls, and then, the point you had brought up, and I'm not going to steal too much of your thunder, is, the signing all the ex-Packers, and, and you look at the Bears, I dislike the Bears, but I have a respect for the Bears, because, one of my favorite players, NFL players, and it's too bad I didn't get much, a chance to watch him play at all, because, I was born in '83, so I was like really young, right in his prime. That player is Walter Payton. I have a very strong respect for the Bears. So, like, my personal opinion, there's more of a hatred towards the Vikings than there is the Bears.
Yeah, and you're not stealing my thunder. I think I have the same resentment that a number of Packer fans have. Stop signing our players. Stop it. And you and I talked about it before. There is nothing better than seeing Greg Jennings only get one catch. Nothing better in my mind. And you know what? I loved Greg Jennings when he was here. Had the home away jersey, had all of them. Think he's a stand-up guy, but he's now wearing purple. And
I had the same opinion of Jennings as you, but now, in my mind, he was just a great big phony, and that's something we could discuss coming on when Jennings returns to Lambeau in a few weeks.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't mean to cut you off there.
Oh, no, that's fine, because you're thinking just what I am. I mean, and even the announcer said, and you gave up Rodgers to play with Ponder, because that's who the quarterback was when he signed. And personally, and again, these are, just so everybody knows, these are our personal opinions. So if you're going to get mad at us personally. I think he just went for the money.
Yeah.
That's all. And to punch the Packers basically in the gut. And to me, that is a slap in our face. And I'm not saying that he shouldn't have done it or anything like that. But over history, the Vikings have done it year after year after year. And why? The thing is that when they do it, it's not like they're going and getting that great player. I mean, Jennings was good, but there's a reason the Packers didn't break the bank on him. And could he have helped us? Can he help us? Sure he could. But I am going to put my faith in Ted Thompson. He wasn't going to overpay for somebody on this roster when we could replace him. And I think we've proven our point. We can replace Greg Jennings. Just sucks that he went to the Vikings.
See, me with Jennings, as you nailed it on the head. He went for the money, And then for me, it's not so much that I'm mad that he went to the Vikings. It's the fact that, his actions since going to the Vikings and what comments that he's made. And, he's commenting that he went to Minnesota because he didn't want to stunt the growth of any of the younger guys on the roster. And it's like, say the real reason why you went. You were starting to become overshadowed, and you don't want that.
Oh yeah, look at it. I mean, he wouldn't have had the same role this year. Randall Cobb is the guy. I mean,
Cobb took his spot in the slot. Nelson and Jones were killing it on the outside. Where is there left for Jennings?
Exactly. It's about greed and it's about ego. I mean, that's the bottom line. That's how I feel. Nobody will ever change my opinion about that.
Yeah. And if he would have came out and said that's why he went to Minnesota, he wants to be the number one guy, he wants to be the top option, he's starting to lose his role in Green Bay, then I would have I would have a lot less animosity towards him because, hey, you're telling the truth. But seriously, stop lying to yourself.
Exactly. Because you have loyal fans in Green Bay. And there's gonna be the cheers when he comes back to Lambeau. There's gonna be those, but there's gonna be a lot of boos. And if I go to that game, I'm going to boo also. And I'm not a big booer, but like you said, this goes down to character, at least in my mind. Even the Brett Favre thing. I mean, we could go back and we could talk about this on and on. Some of the signings I'm not so mad about, but this one just got under my skin. Just literally under my skin with it. So, but we move on to the Bears, like you said, and I respect the Bears. I still don't dislike the Bears, but I think these games are now becoming very important. I mean, the Bears are competitive, but now losing Cutler, I mean, it's, when we look at it and see Cutler being out, I don't think that they're going to win like you and I talked about with McCown in there. But even then, I look at that rivalry that we want to beat the Bears, but I think it is more now that respect level of the rivalry, and I think we've moved on past the hatred when they used to be so good and just kill us every year. And, and then it swung to us, and we dominated them while they were down a little bit. But now I think, and I'm not saying we're on even playing ground, but I think the respect level is different in the rivalry because the Bears were good. I mean, we both played in the NFC Championship the first time in our storied history when we went to the Super Bowl that the Bears and Packers played for that right. And I think that's when that rivalry changed to the respect level. Like, hey, we're both good organizations. We both have pride. We both want to win. And I think that's where I see it as now is still hate them, still going to hate the Bears, but it's not the hatred that I have toward the Vikings at this point. I think it's switched in my mind because it used to be the other way. But now I think it's like we talked about. I think it's the Bears are a respect level, and you had mentioned that too. Some very good players in our organization, some very good players in the Bears organization. A lot of history in the NFL between those two franchises. And I think...
And us Packer fans George Hallis a huge thank you, because when they were looking at building Lambeau Field, Hallis was a huge reason why that stadium was built.
Really? I did not know that.
I was reading a book about Lombardi's very first year in Green Bay, and they brought it up in there, is that, Hallis knew how important it was to the NFL to, have this team here in Green Bay and, have this Packer-Bear rivalry. So he pushed really hard for, the stadium to be built in Green Bay.
That's awesome.
So the Packers could stay in Green Bay.
That is truly awesome. I didn't know that. Thanks for sharing that. I bet you a lot of our listeners didn't even know that. That's why you're the man. That's why you're awesome. You bring in those little tidbits. So, with that said, we're on about 9 minutes, and I know we want to talk about college athletes, but let's give our predictions for Monday night. It's going to be a great game. No Cutler, no breaks. What do you think is going to happen Monday night, bud?
Well, there is still an outside chance that Cutler could play, because he is recovering quicker than they thought, but I still don't think he plays, and even with him, I see a Packer win. I see them winning pretty handedly. I see them winning, I would say 38-13. I just don't see the Bears being able to stop Green Bay's running game. Their D-line is hurting bad. The only threat the Bears really have is their return games, and then they probably have the best wide receiving unit that the Packers have played all year in Jeffrey and Marshall. And then they have the tight end in Bennett. But if the Packers can get a pass rush on McCollum, especially against that young right side of the offensive line the Bears have, two rookies on the right side, I don't see how the Bears, stand much of a chance. So I say Monday night is going to be 38-13.
Well, you're again. This is why I love talking to you. You and I are pretty close. You usually pick a little bit higher than I do, but we're always in the same range. I'm thinking 31-10 Packers, and I think it's another one of those games where it feels like we're in total control. Now, you brought up a good point. The receivers, I agree. Jeffries, Marshall, Bennett, great receiving core that they have, and Forte. However, totally depleted with McCown in there. And, even if Cutler plays, he's not going to be 100%. And so I don't see it being a threat this week. Maybe down the road at the end of the season, maybe we talk differently about the game. But on Monday night, as long as the Packers go out, keep their consistency up, there's no reason that they can't go in and destroy them like we both think. So we got about 3.5 minutes to wrap up shortly. And that's about paying college athletes. And, I think you and I talked about it. We're going to do more than one episode. I think this is kind of a preview of an episode that we're going to do, and especially when we can start taping over 15 minutes. For the listeners, I'm getting my PhD in sports management. My dissertation will be somewhat surrounding paying college athletes. And I know you and I talked a little bit, Evan, before Twitter Talk, that we think there should be some kind of payment to the players. And I don't think they should straight out pay the players for performance. But I think they should have some kind of system in place to be able to reward these players to at least live the college life. Because some of them come from a social class where they don't have the spending money, and the NCAA straps them on the amount of money they can have. And so I do think that they should get some kind of compensation, but I don't think they should straight out pay them. What do you think?
Yeah, I kind of agree with you. Like I brought up when we were talking before about a possible stipend, some kind of stipend that with all the money, I know you had brought up that the the schools themselves don't make. Athletic departments don't make a ton of money, and there's only so many that are actually profiting every year. But the NCAA makes a lot of money every year, especially with, EA Sports is no longer going to be making the video games, but they made a ton of money off of that. There's got to be some way to give the athletes some kind of stipend. And the other thing, too, is, and we talked about this, too, is the players should be able to get compensated for their autographs. And obviously you can put a cap on how much they can get per autograph, but they got to be able to get compensated for that. That's their brand.
Yeah.
I think that's two ways you can look at possibly compensating them.
Yeah, well, and I agree with you with the autograph. I mean, and I'll disagree, though. I don't think they should cap it. It's like you and I. If I can get money to go sign my name, I'm going to take it. And I should be able to. That's my name. And so, like the Johnny Manziel thing, and I was telling you this, I don't care that he did it. Yeah, he broke the rule, shouldn't have, but there should be a rule in place that my brand, I should be able to sell my name and be able to be compensated. And I know we're running right around the 15-minute mark, but again, too, on that, I'm okay if they're doing stuff with themselves. Now, as long as it's not school-issued gear or anything like that they're putting their name on. But if he goes and signs his name on a helmet from a little kid and the dad gives him $25 for it, I don't think there's a problem with that.
Yeah, I don't have an issue with that either. And we'll get more into detail about why, I'm talking about a cap, I'm sure, when we get into our ramble focusing on this issue.
Yeah, we definitely will. We could talk. I mean, this would be one that we could talk probably 4 or 5 hours on. But I see we're running at 14:50. So as always, Evan, my pleasure to have you on the Red Light Sports Ramble.
Thanks for having me.
We'll talk soon. We'll talk to everybody else soon. See you at the next red light.